I've received from the coaches, the support that I've got from everyone, the friends that I've made here.
It is nothing like what I have imagined.
I was absolutely hopeless when we started the course, and the process that you go through is absolutely amazing.
I learned how to structure for my training, my workshops, what I'll be doing from now on.
Now, just to tell you, I was 14 years old and left school because I didn't want to speak in front of the class. I leave here today, overcoming that fear.
It's given me my confidence back. It's enabled me to get back up on stage.
And you're going to become more powerful, clearer in your message, on point, and you're going to feel like you're part of a tribe.
You can't miss it. This is a total investment in you and your future.
And if you are considering coming along, do not hesitate. The transformation from day to day truly is incredible.
If you're looking to get your message out, I highly recommend that you join Sam and the team for their boot camp.
Powerful, spectacular.
Incredible.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Amazing journey.
You've got to come. You've got to be here.
Try them. Honestly, it'll change your life.
What if I told you that there is a place where you can dream big? A place where you can learn how to be an influencer. A place where you can collaborate with others. What if I told you that there is a group of people just like you? A group that's committed to make a positive impact. A group that believes in what's possible for the future. What if I told you that we can help you make a difference? We can arm you with the right tools to never be underpaid, undervalued, and underrecognized. What if I told you that you can join today, like right now? It's time to make a difference. It's time to shine. This is Speakers Tribe.
One thing that I want to acknowledge you about is investing in yourself and ultimately spending time in online education. If you can learn how you can influence more powerfully through video, if you can learn how to create like your online virtual product and even make money online right now, then I'd love to help you through that journey as well.
To all the staff from Speakers Institute, you guys have been really supportive and really, really lovely and encouraging. But to everybody else, for all of your honesty and your courage for stepping up here and just giving all, because I've learned so much from every single one of you and it's just been really, really good.
I just wanted to say, being out of the workforce for 6 years, looking after little kids, and this is the first course I've ever done. And it was astounding. It blew my mind. It was beyond my expectations. And thank you, Kate, for the feedback today. That was brilliant. And it's given me the confidence to back myself, because I didn't have that before. Because, you know, when you leave for a while and you come back, it's all a bit dodgy. So thank you.
Sam, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That has been absolutely awesome. I've learned a hell of a lot today, and I really feel like we're all improving. So thank you so much. It's been really awesome.
I wish everyone all the best on the course. I think it's a wonderful course. And Sam, you've created an amazing business, but I also want to congratulate the people you've got working underneath you, because it wouldn't be that great if you didn't have all this wonderful resource. And I congratulate them for supporting you. It's excellent.
I'd actually just like to thank Sam and the team so much for everything you've done, but I'd really like to thank everybody else. I have learnt so much from all of you. It's just been so exhilarating. I'm so excited for each and every one of you, because it's just the growth in such a short space of time has been phenomenal. So thank you all very, very much.
Welcome to Speakers Tribe TV, and on this amazing Monday, wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for tuning in. You know, here at Speakers TV, all we want to do is to really help you on this journey to be a recognized influencer, to upgrade your speaking skills. And that's exactly what we have in store for this episode. Guys, we are super excited about Speakers TV because not only are we bringing to you some of the best speakers, trainers to really help you to upgrade your skill set in speaking, but also we really want to help you on your journey. And wherever you are in the world, thank you so much for tuning in here on this amazing Monday. Why not start Monday with learning from the best in the world? Because that's exactly what we'll bring to you. And my encouragement to you, if you haven't already, make sure you join us on any of our social media, Speakers Institute, Speakers Tribe, Speakers TV. It's all on there. We cannot wait to hear how this episode has really helped you and impacted your life. To your success, welcome to episode Monday.
So have we got a treat for you this afternoon? There are 3 speakers that are about to inspire you and take you through a journey. Our first speaker is Australian Entrepreneur of the Year twice. He has been the runner-up of the International Entrepreneur of the Year. He is also the founder of Business Retailer of the Year. Now, this guy is out of this world. He's not only a really good friend of Sam's for over the last 10 years, but he's been doing life with them. He's just an amazing keynote speaker. He's someone that if I was to grow up to be, I want to be like him. So on that note, please welcome to the stage, Brad Smith.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys for having me here. You know, I'm here because 10 years ago, I got a phone call from some crazy guy who had a strange walk and a very loud voice. And he said, I want to go on tour. And Sam had just done a tour of Tasmania, speaking around at all the schools in Tassie. And he rang me up and said that he wanted to do another lap. And he asked if I'd come with him. And at the time, I definitely hadn't done much speaking. You know, I was the kid at school that if I got an award at school, I'd pretend that I wasn't there type thing. So Sam believed in me and asked me to come on this tour with him. And he said, Brad, if you could talk to the kids about getting a clean adrenaline rush, you know, and being safe, like that type of thing as young people, that'd be awesome. So, you know, I did all my prep and got ready and, you know, spent the weeks getting excited for Sam and Brad to tour together. It'd be heaps of fun, and I knew that I'd grow a lot. And I'd also organised to take some bikes, because, you know, Sam is not going to do anything normal. He said, take some bikes and we'll do some tricks and we'll, you know, pump the kids up and get their attention and then we'll speak. So, you know, I had the vans loaded, the bikes ready, everything. Except on the Sunday before we were going to start, I had a race and I crashed and I broke my leg. So I remember just being in hospital on the bed and the guys plastering up my leg while I'm on the phone to Sam to say, can I still do this safety course, this safety talk while I'm on crutches? And of course, Sam's like, no problem. Like, we'll go, we'll do it, we'll make it happen. And Sam turned up at my house on the Monday at about 6 a.m. And the van that had all the gear in it was a manual van. So of course, I'm in plaster on crutches. So I hand Sam the keys and Sam looks at me and goes, I can't drive this thing. So I had to go wake my mum up and say, Mum, can you drive Sam and I around all these schools today? And of course, Mum's amazing, and she said yes. And anyway, so I had my leg on this side of the dash, and Sam had his leg on this side of the dash, and Mum's driving us to these schools, and it was an awesome time. But that was 10 years ago, so Sam's definitely getting old. But no, I really am grateful to Sam and Kate. They've believed in me unbelievably. And, you know, I haven't really identified myself, you know, or seen myself as a speaker, but Sam did. You know, I didn't really think that I had a story that anyone cared about, but Sam did. And I think you can all relate to that. So that's really why I'm here. I believe in what you guys are doing. I believe in Sam and Kate, and I'm just so grateful to them as mentors and as friends. So I'm going to share a bit about my story. And, it's kind of my hope that while I share my story, you kind of reflect on your story. I don't think today I'm going to help you be a better speaker. I don't think today I'm going to be the best speaker here, but I do believe I've got a story that's different. And I hope that you can draw something off it. And I hope that today matters to us. And, I didn't come from a rich family. My parents, they grew up in government housing. Mum and dad both quite poor, but when they got together, they decided that their kids wouldn't have a life like that they'd fight for their marriage, they'd fight for their children, and they'd parent with intent. And thank God that they did. My sister and I grew up in an amazing home. Not a wealthy home, not a rich home, but an amazing home. And if that's the only thing you take from today, I think that's enough. But my parents didn't let Sheridan and I, my sister, miss out at all, even though I had a very expensive hobby, which was motorcycling. And I was obsessed with the motorcycle. From before I could even remember, I'd be nagging my dad, when can I learn to ride that bike? And my dad said to me as a young fellow, he said, Brad, you can learn to ride the motorcycle as soon as you've mastered the BMX. He goes, you've got to master the BMX, and then I'll give you the motorcycle, you can learn to ride. So my goal became for that year to master that BMX and prove to Dad that I was ready for the motorcycle. And actually in our family, goal setting was a huge part of growing up. Every New Year's Day, Mum would sit us down and she'd get us a pad and we'd write down all the things that we've done and achieved for the year past and all the things, the goals, the vision for the year ahead. It's kind of culture in our family to sit down and be intentional about where we put our energy and time. And we got obsessed with that. And of course, my goal for that year was to prove to Dad that I'd mastered the BMX. So you can imagine I get home from our family camping trip where we've set our goals and we set up for the year, and I'm desperate to ride this dirt bike, and I'm thinking, how on earth am I going to prove Dad that I'm ready? And I'm thinking, and I saw that our driveway is quite steep, and then we have a flat area and then another sort of slant down. I thought if I get our little ramp, come down on the bicycle and jump the ramp, Dad will be like, I'm ready. And I thought, just to prove that I'm ready, I'm going to get my 4 cousins and I'm going to lay them in front of the ramp. So you can imagine ambitious young Brad pedaling that bicycle down that hill, and my cousins, I don't know if they're believing or naive, I'm not sure. But thank God no cousins were hurt. Actually, I have a photo here to show you guys. Oh, we've lost it here. I do have a photo somewhere. So that is definitely my favourite cousin on the end there. But no, I learned to ride the motorcycle, and the motorcycle became a huge part of my life. It became a teacher for me, really. Everything I learned as a young bloke really somehow related back to my ambition to become a great motorcyclist. And that was my vision, to work out how to become, a high level or a professional motorcyclist. As a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old, I was obsessed with that. But as I got a bit older and I started to get a bit better, I also became more aware that my sport put huge pressure on our family, especially financially. Again, Mum and Dad weren't rich by any means, but they worked their butts off so my sister and I never missed out, and we didn't. But my sport was also a lot of travel, and I just started to get hungry to work out how am I going to, make this sport into something that can be my passion, but also my platform and my pathway. And it got a bit better, a bit older, and Mum and Dad started to acknowledge that, maybe we'll have a bit of a crack at this. And when I was 13, Mum and Dad sat my sister and I down and said, we're going to go on our first family holiday. We're going to load up our little white Ford Econovan. We're going to drive from Launceston in Tasmania, where I grew up, catch the Spirit of Tasmania to Melbourne, then we're going to drive to Sydney, and we're going to have a holiday, going to have an adventure. And you can imagine my sister and I are so excited. We're going on a holiday, and the day that we're loading all our stuff into the van, we're putting our clothes and all our, just everything you want to take on a travelling road trip. And Mum came down and she said, Brad, while we're in Sydney, the Australian Junior Motocross titles are going to be held. And she goes, Brad, so put your bike in the van, you're going to be racing the Nationals. So now you can imagine. I am pumped and scared. But we put the bike in and we headed up towards Sydney. And there's 800 kids who race at the Australian Junior Motocross titles. So you can imagine how many bikes and vans and trucks and people. And I'm fresh out of Tasmania where there's 50 people who turn up to the biggest race event. And we drive in our little white dented Econovan, and we get parked next to this kid. He's got a semi-truck laid out here. He's got 6 brand new dirt bikes in front of it. He's got a nutritionist. He's got a mechanic. He's got a fitness coach. You know, we park next to Richie freaking Rich. And here we are, and I'm just walking through the pits, just drooling, just so intrigued with how do these people have what they have? You know, because my parents worked their butts off. They couldn't have physically worked an extra hour in the week. Yeah, we didn't have that. And we were under a lot of pressure. And it was a massive stretch to get there. And I was so curious. I said, Mum, how on earth, like, how do they do this? And Mum taught me a lesson that sparked me and stuck with me. She said, Brad, these people don't have what they have because they worked harder than us. These people have what they have because they've worked smarter than us. And I thought, Mum, that's a good one. You know, I thought I'd get obsessed with how do I work harder at becoming smarter? You know, what do I need to do to become the person that I want to become? My parents were amazing at facilitating that. You know, I'd read Rich Dad, Poor Dad overnight. We'd listen to Tony Robbins on the way to school. You know, we got obsessed with how do we become the version of ourselves that we want to become. And again, I got a little bit older, I got a little bit better, and I decided that I wanted to turn motorcycling into that business, into that platform, into something that could be my passion but also be my pathway. So I thought I'm going to have to get ready to pounce when opportunity comes my way. And isn't it important to be prepared to pounce? So I thought I've got to get smart, that's for sure, and you know, got obsessed with learning and reading and that type of thing. But also thought I've got to save some money up. So as a 13-year-old kid, I got, you know, just into anything I could to save some money up. Mowed lawns for all the old ladies in the street, and I still love that because they paid in both money and food. And they still bring the food today. I sold posters on eBay. I had anything I could do entrepreneurially. I sold these posters, I imported calculators, and this was my favourite one. Because in our high school, the year that I was in grade 8, the school hadn't found out what a graphics calculator is yet. You guys know a graphics calculator, it's pretty much a computer. So me and my best mate worked out that we could pre-program the answer to the maths test in the calculator and then sell them to all the kids at school at twice the price. And we sold out. And our school had unbelievable results that year. So just do whatever I could to save some money up. You might see me get teased. I pushed trolleys for Woolworths, and actually they asked me to go on a TV ad a few years ago, and they wanted to talk about people who'd got their start at Woolworths. And I did this 20-minute TV ad just talking nice, general, safe stuff. And then as I was finishing, I was taking my helmet off and talking to Mum, who was in the room too, and said I forgot to tell them that I was the Australian trolley pushing champion. And that's the only bit they put on the TV ad. So I'm the self-proclaimed Australian trolley pushing champion. But you know, just did whatever I could to get prepared to pounce for when opportunity came my way. Get smart, get ready, get mentors, get some money ready, and then wait for that opportunity. And isn't that the hardest time? When you feel like you're ready, you got the vision, everything's coming together, but you know, you just haven't quite found that platform. That's a big thing we're going to talk about today. I hope it's a subtle thing we talk about, but a major thing, which is the difference between our platform and our purpose. I think this room, people like myself and you are full of ambition. One of the biggest risks we have is that we mix our platform and our purpose up. And maybe that can come up in Q&A, but you know, I had to wait for that platform. What's this specific opportunity that I'm going to be able to turn motorcycling, my passion, into my pathway? And I waited and waited and waited, and then after 2 years of saving, I finally found this new version of our sport, and it was so exciting. It was smaller bikes. It was kind of like BMX on steroids. So all the American guys would buy, you know, kids' bikes and then hot them up to make them strong enough for adults. And while I'm getting pumped on this sport and seeing all my racing idols were doing this for fun, and like everyone who was anyone in motorcycling was getting into this new type of riding. I thought, that's so cool. And then this new event came out, which was the world title for super light motorcycles. So they're going to hire out a stadium in Las Vegas and have like BMX type track where all the professionals could come and race this. And as an amateur, you could pay to go and race against your childhood heroes. I was so pumped. And while I'm watching this and reading this, I made 2 massive decisions. The first one was that I was going to do whatever it took to get myself to America to race as soon as I turned 21. And I was 16, so I had a few years to worry about getting to the States. But the second thing was that I thought that this type of motorcycling could be used to make our sport more accessible and more affordable, so more people could experience and be involved in what I love and our family loved about motorcycling. So I became obsessed with that. Now, how am I going to find the bike? The bikes in America were custom built. They were worth 10 or 15 grand. It took a long time to build. You had to have a lot of knowledge. We wanted to get something that was ready to go off the showroom floor, was fully affordable and could still compete with that quality. So I did some research, and anything same thing you got to do to research any product. And I'm emailing, I'm calling, I'm finding a supplier, and I finally found this guy in China, and he promised me that he could build a bike that could compete with the Americans but be affordable. So I got excited again, and I transferred my money across to the other side of the world to a Chinese company I still can't pronounce the bloody name of. And I waited for 8 weeks for my first 10 bikes to arrive. And that's the most exciting time in business, I reckon. When you've got the seed, you've got started, it's all upside. There's no problems at that point. It's all vision. And I waited for those 10 bikes, and they finally turned up at my house. And of course, I didn't have a warehouse, so the truck has to turn up at our residential address. And because I didn't have a warehouse, I also didn't have a forklift. So the truck driver had to help me get all these bikes off his truck and drag them down our driveway. And I got 10 boxes lined up with my motorcycles in them. And I'm so excited. I've made the brand to be black with magenta, so it could be different, totally unique. And I'm so excited to show my family and my friends and see it myself of what we've been working on. And I open the lid on the first box and I look in, and it's a yellow motorcycle. These motorcycles are not what I'd ordered, and over the next few days I realised the bikes that turned up were nothing like the bikes that I'd ordered, nowhere near strong enough for adults to ride and the racing and everything that we had planned. And our real vision and mission was to help young people to get a clean adrenaline rush through movement, through motorcycling, rather than from drugs, crime, violence, and some of the evils of our world. So I was so excited. We had tracks set up, coaches organised, events planned, everything that now we couldn't do. I had to find the right owner for the right bike. They were only good enough for 5-year-old kids to ride. So by the time I'd done the websites and the marketing and everything you got to do to find the right home for the right bike, it took a year to sell those first 10 bikes. And I lost all my money. I lost a year. I was pretty beat up, but I hadn't lost the vision. And I kind of felt possessed by this vision. That if this is going to happen, if we were really going to make a motorcycle that's affordable, accessible, but could compete with the Americans, then I need to get myself on a plane and I need to go to China and meet the factories face to face and find someone to partner with me. And I decided I'm going to do that the day I turn 18. So I had about a year to save up. Just all the things I did before, save, save, save. And the day I turned 18, I booked my ticket to China, and man, I was so naive. Isn't naive ambition a beautiful thing? Never been outside of Tasmania without mum or dad. Never been to China, sure as hell couldn't speak Chinese. And also I had quite a she'll be right attitude in that I thought I'll book my accommodation and everything, interpreters, once I get to China. So you've got to picture me, a kid, an 18-year-old kid with a peroxide blonde mullet, a hooded jumper. I turn up at Hong Kong airport and, it's still pretty Western in Hong Kong. There's brands you've seen, a lot of people speak English, but I had to catch a bus and a train 3 or 4 hours into southern regional China to the motorcycling manufacturing district. And I got there and I got off this bus and I realised the world's biggest trade fair was being held in this city the time I had to go there. There's 2 million visitors going through the city. So there's no accommodation anywhere and no interpreters, and I don't speak a word of Chinese. So I'm way out of my comfort zone at this point. And thank God I met this guy who offered to be my interpreter, and he took me for 2 weeks. And he said to me, where do you need to go? What's the plan here? And I said, we're here to find a manufacturer. I want to go to as many factories as we could find. And then on the last day, which was the 14th day, I want to go back to the best factory and we're going to choose to do business with them. And he said, no worries. I said, how many factories are here? He said, there's a lot. He said, there's over 500 registered. There's probably 800 total. I said, no worries. So we set the calendar up like the Amazing Race. Bus here, plane there, train there, taxi there, fly there. We were just in and out type thing. Breakfast meeting, morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner. Sometimes 2 or 3 factories at a time, getting them to pitch us. This was the vision we set up. And I remember driving to the first factory, and man, that's a nerve-wracking experience. All this stuff finally coming to the point where I get to interview the factory. Because remember, I'm there to see as many factories as I can to choose which one we're going to do business with. And I get to this factory, and as we're driving into the driveway, I realised I had no idea what a motorcycle manufacturing plant looked like. Never seen one. Not a Google, not an image, nothing. And this one here was 4 stories. It produced 16,000 motorcycles per month. And I had to go to the top floor to meet the owner, who was a shorter Chinese man. And he came out and he shook my hand and couldn't see fingers from all the gold rings on his hand. Had this massive desk, really intimidating. Had 2 interpreters with him and my interpreter. And I sat down and I shared the vision. And I spoke about how we weren't just trying to build a motorcycle for the sake of motorcyclists, but to create new motorcyclists. Shared the vision behind it all. Talked about the components and the frame and the chassis and what we were trying to do. Then at the end of it, he stood up and he slammed his hand on the desk and he goes, "I love it." Of course, in Chinese. He goes, "I love it." He goes, "How much money do you have to invest?" I was like, "I have no money." He goes, "So you have no money?" He goes, "What's your distribution channel?" He goes, "How many units can you guarantee to sell and buy for us over the next 2 years?" And I'd never heard of the term distribution channel. He goes, "So you got no money, you got no distribution network." He goes, "What's your engineering experience? How are you going to engineer the motorcycle for our factory?" And of course, I had no engineering experience. So he laughed me out of the office. He goes, "We're not willing to take a risk on an 18-year-old kid who's got no money, no engineering experience, no idea how he's going to sell the bike." You know, and in fairness to him, an 18-year-old kid who was so naive that he had no idea how much it cost to produce that bike. And just for the plastics, you know, like the guard on a motorcycle, the front and rear guard and the petrol tank, just for the plastic components, before you actually get to touch a bit of plastic for the molds and for the designs, was over $1 million for this bike that I'd dreamed up. And I'd pitched that we'd build 7 versions. So of course the second factory, the third factory, the fourth factory, the 5th factory laughed me out of their office. And you guys know what it's like. You know, when you've got a vision, you've got a dream and you get laughed out of the office, you kind of got 2 options. You can listen to it and adjust, or you can listen to it and go back. And you know, I knew that I could come home to Tasmania and people would congratulate me for giving it my best shot and stepping way outside of my comfort zone and, you know, doing all this different stuff and, you know, having a big vision and chasing after. I knew that people would congratulate me and encourage me in that. But I didn't go to China to come home and be congratulated for trying. I went to China to find a motorcycle, to build a motorcycle and to come home with a motorcycle. I said to my interpreter, "How many factories are there actually here?" He goes, "I reckon there's 800. I said, "Well, we're not going home until 800 of them have laughed us out of their office." And my interpreter said, "Okay." And we went to the 10th factory, the 20th factory, the 30th factory. I think my interpreter started to think I was mad at the 40th factory, the 50th factory. They got laughed at over 50 factories. And fair enough too, I was so naive, had no idea what I was doing, just having a real red hot crack. And you know, I think that persistence pays. You guys would relate to that so well in your business. I think it's so important to understand sometimes there's so many no's on the way to the yes that we need. And that's a massive lesson I learned through that. And thank God we stuck to it, because the channel, the plan that I had definitely didn't work. But who would have thought that I'd run into 2 young French guys, not at a factory, not at a trade stall, just run into 2 young French guys who were just a touch older than me at the time. They'd just moved to from France to China with financial support from their wealthy families and had one dream: to build a unique motorcycle. They had a factory, they had a production line, they had everything but the vision. They needed someone to partner with to make the bike, someone to partner with to work out how to sell the bike, and they decided to take a risk on me. Isn't it amazing how the perfect partners sometimes just fall into our lap when persistence is the payment we make? Thank you. Thank you. You know, that was naive ambition. I don't think it was unbelievably honourable at that point, because there was not a lot to lose other than full going for it and the hustle. And, you know, I have a bit of a caveat on that story, because I think that in this room, in an ambitious room, that the risk is not how hungry we are. The risk is not, are we going to be successful? The risk is actually, what are we willing to sacrifice to become successful? And I just really want to remind that. These days when I tell the story, I want to remind you that you're first a husband or a wife, you're first a mother or a father, and you're thirdly a worker. I see so many people at self-help, business, speaker type events that their career is unbelievable, but their home life is horrible. So I say that with a massive caveat that I believe in order. I believe in the hierarchy of you're first a son or daughter, you're second a husband or wife, you're third a mother or father, and then you're a worker, or however that works out in your life. But you know, for me, there's been a lot of success come from that Brap story. We had a lot of awards, we had a lot of accolades. My book got published. I had over 100 speaking events per year, fully paid. It was going amazing. We won the world title, that race that I told you about in Las Vegas. We become the first production bike in history to win the world title, and we won it twice. We had dealers right around the country, over 45 dealers. We had distributors in America, Europe, people in Southeast Asia taking our bikes to their country to distribute. Unbelievable amount of success. It felt like for me, everything in my worldly vision board was coming true. And everything was moving in that right direction, making great money, and then we raised money on top of that to just strengthen our position. But then great challenge came on us. And I share this today really vulnerably because I think it's so important that if we're going to celebrate our success, we talk about the struggle to get there. And this is where I think it's so important to differentiate between our purpose and our platform, because you guys are going to be tested on this stage and by having a profile. You guys are going to be tempted by having this stage and this profile. And above all else, you're going to be trusted. So it's so important to make sure that your life is built on order so your word can be trusted. And for me, I've had unbelievable challenge. We had allegations made against us legally by competitors to the police. They picked it up, they wrote media releases, this was 3.5 years ago, and they absolutely shredded our credibility. We had over 45 dealers that we had to just let go because we were restricted while they went through the legal process that took 3 years. We had 35 staff we had to lay off. Unbelievable challenge. They were threatening us with jail, they were calling us all these things in the media, and we still haven't given any defence in the media. I don't normally talk about it unless it's a private location like this type of thing where it's not media driven. And I just think it's so important to remember that the better you get, the more challenge is going to come your way. The better you get and the better your message gets, the more of an attack the enemy is going to have on you. And it's not logical. Our challenge, we didn't have this on our SWOT analysis, on our strategic planning, on our vision boards. This was not a logical attack. I think it's so important to put that in perspective, that that's going to happen in your life in some way. I hope it doesn't happen as intensely as our way, but it is going to happen. You are going to be attacked. You are going to be challenged. I think it's so important to build your life on purpose, not on the platform that you are to deliver your purpose through. Because it will come and go. It will be pruned and prospering. My motorcycle business has gone up and down massively over the last few years. We've been challenged. And praise God, we did survive. Only 2 weeks ago, we finished our legal case. We defended ourselves. We cleared our name. Thank you. Thank you. And it doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like we've been bruised and we've been battered and we've been beat down. And we had to work out how to get through. But I think it's so relevant to anyone who's having a crack in Australia, anyone who's having a crack and going somewhere, that you will probably have an attack come your way. So how are we going to prepare for that? And I believe that identity precedes purpose. Your purpose has to be driven out of your identity. You know, I believe the future of profit is aligned to purpose. You know, it's so pointless to be a speaker for the sake of attention or profit. So pointless to build a motorcycle business for the sake of growth or profit. I believe that the business and your stage up here and your microphone and your platform has the greatest ability to influence our society. And I think business owners, entrepreneurs and leaders have the greatest ability to do that. Look at our motorcycle business. We have profits we can influence with. We have people we can influence with. We have events we can influence with. We have property we can influence with. We have promotion we can influence with. It's so important for us to be responsible for the people that are put in front of us. And that's where I believe that it's even more important for us to differentiate between our platform and our purpose. You know, through all this time, I kept just asking the question on what's the point in all this stuff? What's the point in all this challenge? Why do we have this great business that's been so attacked? And all I could come back to is who's the person in front of us, who we're responsible for. And the more we got to fall in love with our customer and the purpose that this platform could be used for that customer, the more we realised that the average customer that comes to us is a 15 or 44-year-old male. They come to us because they see the motorcycle as freedom, as an escape, and then they find some identity in that motorcycle. And we don't believe that's the full truth or the best way to live your life. We believe it could be a band-aid, but this person that comes to us is the highest risk human in the country. Look at statistics of 15 to 44-year-old males, suicide #1 killer. We live in Melbourne, the most livable city in the world, where antidepressants are the second highest intake in the world. There's things wrong here, and these people come to us. So we had to constantly ask, what's the purpose? What's the point? How are we going to get through this? And I've got a few questions to ask you guys you can write down and think about, because I believe if you're given a platform like this, as I said, you're going to be tested, you're going to be tempted, but most importantly, you're going to be trusted with a community to speak to. And I believe it's important to make sure that we have a clean identity as we fulfill the purpose that we've been given. The first question to make sure I don't have an identity crisis that I had to wrestle with is, who's above all? That's an important wrestle to have and an important question to wrestle with. Who's above all? You are going to be tested. You are going to be tempted. And with this platform, you're going to have to make sure your beliefs are deeply rooted in something that is fact and true, not just emotional, experience-based and convenient. That's a massive wrestle to have when you get attacked. For me, it's only by the grace of God that we could survive all that challenge, and through having a defender and a saviour and being so full of hope and joy while we got challenged was only through my relationship with Jesus that I could do that. But every man has to wrestle that question. Every woman has to wrestle, who's above all? The second question is, who's above you? Now this is an interesting one, I think, because especially in this room, we have the guru age. You have someone to teach you about this, you have someone to teach you about this, you have someone over here, but I'm saying, who are you truly submitted to, who's willing to give you truth and love, not just pump your tyres up to encourage you? That's a massive weakness in rooms like this where we're all ambitious, because we love the hype, we love the pump up, but who's above you? Who's truly the person speaking truth into your life? The next one is, who's below you? Who's drawing from your life? Who are you training up? Who are you teaching up? Who are you influencing? The next one's, who's around you? So important, proximity. I do a thing called our proximity list, which is every couple of months, Madeline and I sit down and we work out who are the people that we've got to get around, go and have a coffee with, we've got to go and have dinner with, we've got to get around to learn what they're doing to play our game at a higher level. So who's around you? We also do that with friends as well. Like, who are our friends that we just love, even though they don't know our business, they're not on this journey with us, but they're just beautiful friends that just love us. We needed that so much through challenge. So the question is, who's around you? The next one is, who's in you? Like, what's your gifting and what's your personality? What's the individuality that you've been given? I think it's so important to play to the way we've been designed. And the next one's, who are you? Which is really a character question for me. If you look at history and study the great moves in history, the great moments in history, most of the time through history you can study it back to one man or one woman who had an absolute moral line that they wouldn't cross. They had absolutes. Their character was so strong. I think that's so important for us as we're trusted with this stage. Who are you? What's your character? The other one's, who's against you? This is one that I think is important. Doesn't mean we want to attack them. I think on our stage it's even more important to know who's against us so we can somehow make sure that we don't get in these battles. Like us, we had this massive battle with a competitor. I wish that 3 years before I saw this coming, I had known that, had identified that they were against us and that we could build bridges and we could somehow have, a mutual and healthy competition and work in forgiveness, not attacking each other. And I think if you can answer those questions and wrestle those questions out, then your risk of having an identity crisis and therefore a purpose crisis is highly alleviated. And I really encourage you guys to align your profit to purpose. For us, we've had to do that. We've had to get so serious about what's next, and we're building a thing called Block 53. And that is that we identified that this man, this person that is our biggest customer, 80% of our customer is that 15 to 44-year-old male. But where do they go? Where does this person go when challenge comes on and when prosperity comes on? And most of the time, males like that get together and their recreation doesn't end in righteousness, actually the opposite. So we felt responsible to build a place where righteous recreation could bring men together through motorcycling and gym classes and boxing and having a beer tasting session and having a coffee. We're building a facility where all this can happen. It's a social enterprise where we can donate the space to this social enterprise called Block 53, and our business could play one role in it. So our motorcycle business is unapologetically commercial and has no other agenda, but the social enterprise has a much deeper purpose. So my question I'll leave you on with that is, I hope that your speaking is one part of a much bigger puzzle, much bigger pie that you play. I feel like this is a great platform and a platform that can't be ignored, but what's the structure? What's the organisation that you can tap into to make sure that your profit is absolutely aligned to purpose? I think we're going to do questions.
Share, how good the feeling was after completing the session, and I think the feedbacks were just too good. So that is forcing me to think beyond. I think it was pretty linear thinking earlier, and now it is pretty diversified. So that is very helpful.
Thank you, Charlene, Christiane, and Sam, for obviously the benefit and the inspiration you've given to so many of us, and to all the participants. Because I think, for me personally, this is the first time I've felt that I've been in such a safe space to be vulnerable and to make mistakes. And I know that a lot of us have shared some really traumatic events in our life, possibly for the first time publicly. So that's just been a really huge thing. So thank you for everyone for opening up and for people to open up and be authentic.
I'd like to firstly acknowledge you, Sam. Thank you so much for instituting the Speakers Institute and all of the lovely people who've attended today. I think they've done an absolutely wonderful job. I think all of their stories are worthy of stage presence. I think you'll all go very far.
I just wanted to say, being out of the workforce for 6 years, looking after little kids, and this is the first course I've ever done, and it was astounding. It blew my mind. It was beyond my expectations. And thank you, Kate, for the feedback today. That was brilliant, and it's given me the confidence to back myself, because I didn't have that before. Because when you leave for a while and you come back, it's all a bit dodgy. So thank you.
And it was really an experience which I was looking for, to give that push, the last push which is needed, because I'm very low on execution. So your story and your message gave me that push which I really needed. So thank you very much, and also to the fellow participant for bearing with me.
Thank you, everyone. You've all inspired me today, and I want to thank you, Sam, for putting this on, and Christiane and Charlene inspired me to come through conversations we had, and so I'd like to thank her in particular, and got a lot out of it. So thank you, everyone, and thanks for all the lovely comments.
My name is Sarah Cordiner, and a long time ago I was one of the proteges. Now, back then I had absolutely no idea where I was going to go. I was an expert in my field, but I was working very much in the corporate space. I also had no followers on any social media accounts. I had no email list. I had no people anywhere on a database that was out there in the public market. But I knew that I needed and wanted to get out, get online, and make a difference to the world. And I knew that the only way I'd be able to do that is to go out and start speaking, putting myself out there as an individual. And it was really confronting, because there's all these kind of things that we go through. Will people like me? Will people engage with me? Will anyone even care about what I have to say? Will people mock me? Will people criticize me? Will I be torn down by my competitors or trolls? So I had all of these worries, like everyone else does, not knowing where I was going to start. You know, do I start with the logo, the website, the message, the theme, the branding, the story? It's all very, very overwhelming. So I want to reassure you guys that I was absolutely there. After going on Sam's program, I have gone on to win multiple awards. I have now got over 20,000 students in 146 countries. I have been listed by the Huffington Post as one of the top 50 must-follow female entrepreneurs. I've published 12 books, 5 of which have gone to international #1 bestseller. I recently was headhunted by a university and now hold the record for being the youngest university director in Australian history. And I have done all of this from working in the spare bedroom in my house. I now have a multi-million-dollar education company with children running around. And one of the things that I really want to make clear to other people is that everyone can do this. Every single person. I had no special starting point. I had no investors. I've never had anyone give me money. I absolutely have just started on the corner of a kitchen table with nothing but a dream, a drive, and an ambition. And that is the only thing you need to get started.
Sam Cawthorn here, CEO and founder of Speakers Institute. If you give me 60 seconds of your time, I'll show you how to set up an online webinar in 48 hours while growing your authentic followers to tens of thousands, and then teach you how to package your IP so they buy your programs online using what we call influence on video. What this means is you talk to camera, share your value, and then stack your offerings and create urgency in a way that makes it so irresistible that they click the button and purchase your high ticket sale. Talk with any of our clients globally, and I promise you will not find anyone that does what we do. All you have to do is to create an online event, share your ideas, and then stack your offerings just like this. And here's the big secret. Everyone is online right now searching for people just like you to help them learn things that you already know. There are people doing it right now, but they probably don't know as much as you. So right now is your chance to learn how to sell online, and my influence on video formula is easy to use and foolproof for anyone to master. Just recently, I did a 1.5 hour video online to only 40 people, and at the end, 10 of them bought my $4,000 product, all by one click of the button. It was seamless. So if you want me to show you how to influence on video, stack your offerings that make it irresistible, learn my exact script so you can come across authentic and real, and create urgency so then they buy immediately, then click on the link below and join my free masterclass.
Honestly, my dad signed me up for the session. He attended one of Sam's workshops, and as soon as he went for that, he said, Pooja, this is where you have to be. Death is inevitable. It's not something we want to face. For us, it's somewhere there, in the distance. Sometimes you need a little bit of a push or a nudge to take yourself from good to great. And that's what I came to Sam's workshop. Make death your friend. Acknowledge it. It is difficult. It's not easy. But that is going to help you and your loved ones.
You're different. You know, it is now time for you to shine your light. You are on a tipping point. I can see your heart, I can see your passion, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's possible. Well done, girl. It's now time for you to stand up and change the world.
Fantastic. I am so charged up. I am so pumped. And the learnings that we've had have been just phenomenal.
This is the Celebrity Authority Show. Please welcome your host, Sam Cawthorn.
Hey, we are super excited here because we have Brad Twynham here in the studio. Brad, thank you so much and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sam. It's great to be here.
Now, Brad, you're an expert and a speaker as well in Industry 4.0, specifically around, looking at and navigating gaps. Tell us a little bit more. What exactly is Industry 4.0?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realise that in 2008, we began what's now known as the fourth industrial revolution. Some people call it Industry 4.0, some people call it the fourth industrial revolution, some people call it the digital revolution.
Okay.
But really what it is it's that speeding up of technology and how we're using technology and integrating technology into our lives in order to disrupt industry.
It's so true, isn't it, mate? Oh, look, I'm really looking forward to unpacking exactly what that is. But before we do that, Brad, tell us a little bit more about your journey and what made you so passionate about this exact topic.
I actually started off as a scientist. Okay. So I've always been fascinated with systems thinking. But I got bored with science. So my background is actually in exercise physiology, and I started doing some work in that area and just got bored with it.
Okay.
The challenges in that space was really incremental in terms of the gains that were being made.
Yeah.
And so just randomly I fell into technology. And when I looked at enterprise technology, there are exponential gains that can be made. And so I got into the whole corporate world and realized how much technology can change and make more efficient enterprises. And then ultimately that can help them serve their customers better. It can help them make changes in the world more effective, more efficiently. And so I got on that cutting edge of technology and just found my niche. I was just able to be able to take really complex concepts and distill them very simply for executives. And that's where I found my wheelhouse.
And also you've grown a couple of pretty successful businesses as well. Tell us a little bit more about one of the last ones you've done.
Yeah, so my last business was Service Mesh. Yeah. It was an enterprise software platform. I started that in 2008 and right at the start of this fourth industrial revolution. And it was all about taking the complexity within corporate IT supply chains and simplifying them. And so we recognize three core economic levers: commodity economics, standardization economics, and multi-tenant economics. Okay. And if we could pull those levers and change those levers, then we could save billions of dollars to enterprises within their IT supply chains. And we successfully did that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And congratulations on all your success that you have seen in that. Now, tell us a little bit more about this specific topic now that you're teaching and really educating, really empowering the world of what they need to catch. Tell us a little bit more about your topic.
Yeah, one of the defining characteristics of this industrial revolution over the three previous ones that have gone before us is that the world is speeding up. Now, when I say that to people, the first thing they generally say is, well, that's impossible. Time's a continuum. How can it speed up? But there are forces that are occurring that are actually speeding the world up.
Even our attention span is being
Even our attention span, right? And there are new industries starting to emerge. And I know one industry, and I believe it's probably a real economic opportunity for a lot of people, is the industry of thinking about thinking, which is the industry you're in.
Really fascinating,
right?
Yeah.
And that's coming as a result of the exponential gains that we're getting. What I've come to find, and I stumbled across this when I was driving the changes that Service Mesh could make into enterprises, is there's this gap. And where that gap is, it's where we acknowledge the advancements we've made in the past to get us where we are to today.
Great.
And we look at the infinite possibilities of the future. And when you're on either side of that, you're on shaky ground. Because you're either attached to the truths of the past and they hold you back, or you are aspiring to the future, right? And you get lost in that infinite possibility because you have an expectation. So my message and where I've found, as an innovator, I can get through the best of times and the worst of times is when I locate myself in the gap. And as a disruptor, I've just intrinsically been able to do that. And locating myself in the gap is really where I'm able to challenge those truths of the past and not bring them with me and constantly evolve those truths, but at the same time not have an expectation of the future. And it all starts with gratitude.
Actually, tell me a little bit more about that, because I also want to think like that, and I'm sure there are people out there as well that would like to know exactly how they can stand in this gap. Do you have a formula or a system, or basically to teach us how we can think like that as well? Because that's extraordinary.
Absolutely. I think it's, as I said, it starts with gratitude.
Okay.
Right? And if we look at technology, we have an expectation about technology. Yeah. But very rarely do we stop and realise how much gratitude we should have for what technology has given us.
So true.
In 3 generations, right, we've been able to go from having to live on the edge of survival to no longer have that problem. And it's technology that has given us that, right? But very rarely do we stop and reflect how grateful we are for that. And I'll give you an example, quite a funny anecdote. Imagine next time you're on a flight that's 15 minutes late, the pilot came on and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, just like to let you know that we're running 15 minutes late, but to put that in perspective, the journey we're about to take 3 decades ago would have taken us about 3 months. And about 5% of you would have died in the process." Right? So in that context, it's actually not that bad, right? Sit back and enjoy it, right?
Very good.
That's what I mean about living in the gap. It starts with gratitude. And when you can get into that space of acknowledging everything in the past and not having an expectation of the future, then you are open up to infinite possibilities. And that's where disruptors naturally locate themselves. And I think that's relevant to mums and dads. I think it's relevant to business leaders, and it's certainly relevant to entrepreneurs. And if you can do that, then I believe that you can maximize the opportunities and not be fearful of what's coming towards us.
Yeah, look, it's a beautiful way of looking at it. And mate, thank you so much for explaining that. And I can see your passion as well, and I can certainly see that you are a real authority in this space. Hey Brad, tell us a little bit more about what do you do in your spare time to relax, to connect, to really find gratitude in the simple things in life. Tell us a little bit more about, what do you do to recharge your tank?
Yeah, I kite surf. I often say to people I'm a part-time business person and a professional kite surfer.
Yeah.
And I find what kite surfing does for me is it allows me to switch my brain off, it gives me exercise, it allows me to unconsciously, subconsciously reflect on things, So it's a great sport for that. For me, it has a multi-purpose to it. And the other thing,
not too many injuries.
Oh, well, I have one right now. I hyperextended my back the other day, so I haven't winced so far, but it might happen. And then the other thing I love to do is I'm currently raising 3 future Jedi Masters. I've got 3 lovely children, 5, 2, and 13 weeks.
13 weeks,
13
so you're a very
weeks.
young one, yeah.
Which keeps me very busy.
Absolutely.
But one of the things I'm very passionate about is ensuring that there's an education system that I believe can prepare them for the future. So I'm very active. I founded a Montessori school on the Central Coast because I believe that education philosophy is a breeding ground for entrepreneurs and disruptors.
Mate, you founded it, mate. You certainly are an absolute go-getter. And again, thank you so much, Brad, for coming onto the show. But look, just before you go, we do this thing, right? It's called the 10 Questions in 10-Second Challenge. So Brad Twynham, do you accept the challenge?
I do, Sam Cawthorne.
All right, Brad, your time starts now. Favourite colour?
Green.
Favourite food?
Indian.
Indian. Oh, very good. Very good.
I love a curry.
Favourite celebrity?
Pass.
Pass?
Pass.
Favourite actor?
Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, he's great.
Isn't he awesome?
He's solid. Favourite professional speaker?
You can't go past Tony Robbins.
Yeah, he really is the best. Favourite book?
I'd have to say Principles by Ray Dalio. Fascinating book. I recommend everyone read it.
And it only came out a few months ago. I've read it twice as well.
It's
Brilliant.
a brilliant book.
Favourite movie?
Anything Star Wars.
Favourite city?
I would have to say Los Angeles.
Yeah,
I love Los Angeles.
Gotta like it. Favourite drink?
Anything with alcohol in it.
Favourite pizza topping?
Oh, there's a good one. Pepperoni.
Pepperoni, very good. And Brad, if you could be an animal, which animal would you be?
No brainer, I would be a dolphin.
Why a dolphin?
The most sophisticated, intelligent life form on the earth.
Ah, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Brad. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Celebrity Authority Show. Very good. Come on.
Our next speaker is passionate about making sure every day businesses survive in a rapidly changing world. She's a market strategist. She has an illustrious 20-plus year career working with businesses of all types and sizes across 3 continents. Her firm belief is that the customers hold the key to finding ideas, and data science is like having the winning lotto numbers to launching them successfully. Would you give a big warm welcome to the stage, Linda Ginger?
Imagine if you were sitting here at Speakers Tribe Conference 10 years ago. Some of you would have been using a video cam to capture the excitement. Some of you would have been taking notes on your sexy new PDAs. And yes, some of you would have been fiddling on your Blackberries. Have you ever felt concerned that your business isn't keeping touch with technology? You are not alone. KPMG has found in their most recent annual survey that it's the #1 reason keeping business leaders awake at night. Your concern is also real. McKinsey has found that over the last 50 years, the average lifespan of a company has gone from 61 years down to just 17 years and falling. Big companies like Blockbuster, Borders, Kodak are all well known for not keeping pace with technology. However, there are many more everyday businesses suffering the same consequences in our suburbs and in our cities. For businesses to keep pace, they must find and launch new products and services. However, it's not that easy. According to Harvard Business School Professor Clayton Christensen, 95% of all new products fail. 95%. Do you see the dilemma? If you don't keep pace, you're likely to fail. And if you try and keep pace, launch an idea, your odds are less than flipping a coin. There has to be another way. Jeff Bezos has built the most successful business that the world has ever witnessed on this one idea of being absolutely, obsessively customer-centric, from idea inception to launch and beyond. His approach was once challenged, saying, "It seems backward." Bezos' response was swift. He said, "Most companies write the software, they get it all working, and then toss it over the wall to the marketing department saying, 'Here's what we've built, go write the press release.'" That process, he said, is the one that is actually backward. For far too long, businesses have convinced themselves they know what the customer wants. They go days, weeks, months, years building the perfect product, and then they launch it with excitedness. And they wait, and they wait, and it flops. It is a massive failure. Now, it's bad enough if you're a big business, but if you're a little business, a small business, committed everything you've got, time, money, maybe even funds from family and friends, you can't afford to fail. And for businesses that know that ideas start with the customer, use traditional methods, focus groups, surveys, one-on-one interviews. But I've found that there are these traditional methods, there's 2 failings. One is time. It takes too long. And in the times of rapid pace of change, you don't have time as a business. Second is accuracy. Although it's the best we've had to date, it's still hit and miss, open to interpretation. For more than 20 years, I've helped businesses, large and small, across 3 continents and a multitude of industries. And although I'm proud of the things that I've done, there is one business that made me urgently want to find a new way, a faster, more accurate way. The business was a professional services firm. It had once been this industry leader, and now it was losing big time. John, the CEO, wanted me to help him reclaim that market position. Of course, I got started with the customers. It took 3 months. What we found out was that the market was growing, which is great. However, what wasn't great was that John's business's service was seen to be outdated and expensive. Furthermore, there were so many competitors. When John's business thought there was none, and they were using technology, it was too late for John's business. My search led me to Silicon Valley, where I met Thomas Thurston, a data scientist. Now, data science combines computer science and statistics. You might have heard of terms like algorithms, artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning. This is data science. Thomas is renowned for a significant data science research project, which is like giving us the winning numbers to finding ideas faster with greater accuracy. His research started in 2006, and it has been proven over and over and over again. What he found was that failure and success is not based on luck. Failure can be predicted. What he also found was that the decisions that we use to launch ideas is fundamentally flawed. We've been looking at the wrong things. And when we actually apply the right things, we can engineer ideas with higher survival rates. Over the last decade, some of the most innovative, largest companies around the globe have been using his research. I've met them and I've seen their unprecedented results. Today, I want to teach you how using 3 steps can help you find customers, what they find out about customers in 24 hours, not months, and how to find transformative ideas in 48. The first is to ask customers, and ask one question. What do you need to have a great experience? Now, customers, they love you asking. It's a match made in heaven, is it not? They want to have products that they love, and you want to launch ideas that they love. So we get them together, we get them to discuss that question, and they make a long list. Guarantee yours will be long too. Now, you can't deliver on that whole list unless you've got all the money and time in the world. And you're probably saying, well, Linda, that really hasn't helped me. I thought you were going to make it easy for me. So this is where data science comes in, to find focus. So on that same day when we ask the customers, we get them to do a little maths. It's so simple, don't worry about that. They only need to count to 3. And what we do is we load all of the data that they gave us into the data science computer. Overnight, it statistically ranks that big long list down to a short list, the ones that are going to have the most impact in your market. For example, the customers of one of our clients had identified 61 things, and overnight we found 6 had most impact. Now the third thing is, number 3 is, now this is where we use the winning lotto numbers. We apply Thomas's research on those 6 things and explore each one. For our client that had 6, we found 10 ideas, one of which they absolutely loved. They wrote a business case, found a technology partner, it's been launched, and that amazing company that was being disrupted is now back on track. My absolute passion and my vision is to ensure that those everyday businesses in our suburbs, in our cities, have the chance to survive. Because they are the heartland of our jobs, our families, our communities, and our economy. Today, more than ever, we need to find and launch new ideas faster than our competitors. So join me. Keep pace with change. Don't be a statistic, use statistics. And say, I have decided to start with the customer. It only takes 24 hours.
Woo! Linda, Ginger. I want those.
Hey guys, Sam Cawthorn here, CEO and founder of Speakers Tribe, and in this curriculum video, it is all about performance. You know, every single month we release one of these new curriculum videos, and if you haven't seen our previous months, my encouragement to you would be to go onto the website speakerstribe.com, and on there you can see a whole heap of other videos. So this video here will go for less than 10 minutes, and we're going to be specifically unpacking what performance means as a speaker. You know, I started professionally speaking close to 12 years ago, and one thing I realized very soon is that our content doesn't really matter as much as our methodology. And this is the first thing that we're going to be uncovering in today's curriculum video all on performance, realizing how can you get to that methodology mindset in the fastest possible way. The second thing we're going to be talking about is control. How can you control your nerves? How can you make sure that you get up on stage and you've got that suave, you've got that charisma that to make it look like that you are performing this content. And then the third thing that we're going to be unpacking is seamless. How can you ensure that whenever you do get into those high pressure situations, whether it's doing a pitch or a presentation, it looks absolutely seamless, that you have everything under control, that you are mastering your methodology, and everything also is seamless as well. Let's first of all have a look at the difference between content and methodology. Now, I constantly reiterate this quite a bit, but the reality is that there are people out there that probably have better content than you. There are people out there that certainly have better content than me. But one thing that I've found all throughout my journey, that it is not about the content itself. It's more about how we deliver that content in a really powerful way and perform it in a way, yeah? Which is obviously what this curriculum video is all about. So when you have mastered that content, when you know exactly what that content is, then it is about the charisma of delivering that content. How can you perform that content in a way that keeps people at the edge of their seat? You know, in a certain way, you're actually acting that content out. Yet at the same time, I want it to come across as authentic as possible. So yes, in a way, we've got a bit of a pull and struggle here, because in one breath we're saying, deliver that content really authentically, but in the other breath we're saying, perform it in a really powerful way. But you know something, guys, that's exactly the truth is what we're trying to say here, is that when you know your content really well, then you can then start speaking directly from your heart and being really authentic and transparent through delivering of that. Yet at the same time, you want to deliver that in a really entertaining way and performing that in a way that keeps people excited and on the edge of their seat. So sometimes, yes, that does require a little bit of crazy eyes. It requires more Red Bull energy, but also sometimes it requires you to rein it in as well. So there are times where you want to be high energy. There are times also where you want to also rein that in and get that really deep and meaningful. But when you can manage your energy timeline really well, you can then really uncover exactly what we mean by not necessarily your content, what you say, but your methodology, how you say it. That's the first element. Second element is this, is all about control. Now, Mark Twain said this: every single speaker gets nervous on stage, or they are a liar. And one thing I love about this is that, yes, we actually do get nervous on stage. I still get nervous on stage, even though I've been speaking in 36 countries. I've shared my story over 5,000 times in various events all throughout the world. I've done regularly over 10,000 people in audiences. But the reality is I still get nervous. But I don't get nervous because I'm insecure and I'm worried about what you think of me. But I get nervous because I care. I really care for my audience. I really want to make sure that I do add value and serve them in the best possible way. Yet at the same time, through those nerves and sometimes through the uncertainty of thinking that I'm either not good enough or I'm not worthy, I need to make sure that I do show to my audience that I'm in control. It is really important for you to literally show, particularly when you are delivering new content, or even if you're feeling a lot of pressure on this big stage, you need to make sure that you are showing to your audience that you are in control. We in general, as audiences, we don't really want to feel sorry for the speaker up in front, and also we don't really want to see this speaker as coming across uncertain. And right now, in the world, we are seeing more unprecedented uncertainty than any other time in history. And one of the main reasons is because over the last 10 years, we've seen all this change. And we've seen more constant change than any other time in history. And through this change, it's now seen that the market is becoming really uncertain. And what they're looking for us as thought leaders, experts and speakers, they're looking for certainty. So we need to make sure that we do come across and we're performing our content with absolute certainty, even if we only learnt it 2 minutes ago, even if we only learned it last week, or if we're reading a book and now we're delivering that, we still need to make sure that we're coming across with absolute certainty, that we are always in control of every word that we are saying. We're in control, we're not putting in filler words, we're not saying words like or maybe or sort of or should. We're not saying filler words like and or whatever it might be. That we do come across with absolute certainty that we are in control of our gestures, of our language, of our facial expressions, and that way then we can perform this content in a more powerful way. So that's the second element, which is all around control. The third area here is all around being seamless. You know, one thing I absolutely love is when I see an outstanding professional speaker and they're using technology and they're using visuals and they're using sound, etc., and everything looks seamless. It's amazing. Sometimes you don't even see them click their clicker, and they certainly don't look around and see what's on the slides behind them. Everything is absolute seamless. Not only have they mastered their methodology, not only have they clearly mastered their control, but it all looks beautifully seamless. So there's a few things I wanted to share with you around being seamless. Let's unpack this. So the first element is this: always up. And that's all about always being positive, even when things don't go according to plan. You know, technology never goes according to plan. Even your slides or whatever it is, it never necessarily goes according to plan. But you need to make sure that you're always thinking positive. So if something doesn't go according to plan, it's not about getting really frustrated and showcasing the audience that you're frustrated. It's about just simply saying, hey guys, as you can see, AV doesn't go according to plan, but I'm sure our AV team right now are onto it, and we're going to get that fixed. So you want to make sure it comes across as if you're still in control. You're in control of your emotions, and even when things don't go according to plan, you are still in control. So really being seamless and thinking always up. The other area of always up as well and being positive is that if you look up, you can actually access easier your memory rather than looking down when we get frustrated. So when we get frustrated, we automatically look down. Whereas when we look down, research will tell us that we can't necessarily access our thinking in a fast, quick and effective way. Whereas when we look up, we can actually access that thought really faster. We can remember our words. Thus also we're thinking more positivity. Thus also we're showcasing that we are in control. So the first one is this, always up. The second one is this, smirk. Yes, you heard me right, smirk. And what we mean by smirk is that when you want to come across really seamless, in control, mastered your methodology and really performing that message in a really powerful way, you want to make sure that it doesn't look like you're worried or concerned, doesn't look like you're too serious, doesn't look like you're too happy. But that smirk there's a level of charisma when you do a nice little cheeky smirk. So how can you smirk more when you're on stage? You can showcase your likability, you can showcase you're in control, you can showcase a little bit of real solidarity that I'm confident, competent and charismatic when I'm delivering this message. So the second one is this, is more of how you look, smirk more, yeah? Now your third one is this, pause and freeze. Pause and freeze. And what we mean by that is when you are performing your communication, when you're performing your presentation or your pitch or whatever you are communicating, you want to make sure that yes, you come across absolute in control, that you are absolute seamless, but you want to also pause when necessarily. You know, you guys have constantly heard me say, embrace that uncomfortable silence. And it is so true as well. So my encouragement to you is whenever you pause, freeze the gesture. And then when you continue to talk again, then you can move your gestures. And then as you pause again, freeze the gesture. And then you continue on. When you pause and freeze more, it will showcase that you are both performing, but also you're very seamless in what you do. So guys, this curriculum is all specifically about how you guys can perform better when you get into those situations, whether it's on the camera, whether it's on stage, whether it's in a pitch in a boardroom. You want to make sure that you can perform that content. And again, those 3 ways of performance. The first one is content versus methodology. The second one is control. And then the third one is seamless. So guys, don't forget also to make sure that you do put into your diaries the next Speakers Tribe event there in your local city. And we're really looking forward to keeping you on this journey of growth towards where you are today to where you really want to be. I'm Sam Cawthorne, CEO and founder of Speakers Tribe. To your success, have an awesome day.
Have you ever felt that the world was moving so fast you couldn't keep up? Hi, I'm Dory Connor, and I came along to the Speakers Institute to learn more about myself and stage presence. The whole world is changing, whether it's politics, whether it's technology, whether it's business. Wherever you look, everything is changing, and fear is prevalent. Now for some, they can deal with it, and for others, it is paralyzing.
You are beautifully placed right now. Your message, your DNA, and this message to the world. The world is calling upon you to get this message out there and go out there and make more of a difference. There are stages in the world that are waiting for you to claim.
What I got here was so much more. I met some amazing people. I was inspired by their stories, and this all came out over a weekend at the Speakers Institute.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode here at Speakers TV. My name is Sam Cawthorne, and we are super excited about Speakers TV and about these episodes that we bring to you every single weekday, as well as also on every single Saturday. Guys, we'd love to hear from you. If you've got any feedback at all for us, or maybe you want to comment right now in the chat bar about what was your biggest takeaway from today's session. But also not only that, why don't you join us So here at Speakers Institute, we do have a number of programs such as our online boot camps or our protege program. At Speakers Tribe here, we're all about running these big, large annual conferences every year, but also not only that, there is an annual membership that you can get where in your city we do have tribe gatherings, all really encouraging you going from where you are today to where you really want to be. Or maybe you want to tell your friends and your family about Speakers TV. But can I please encourage you, why don't you like this page? Why don't you join us each day? Why don't you tell other people about these episodes? Because we are all about really helping you on this journey to becoming that recognized voice of authority, for you to find your message and your story and get that out there into the world. We are super excited about your journey, so please lean in and join us today. To your success, my name is Sam Cawthorne, and don't forget, the best is yet to come.